On behalf of the Truro Colchester Chamber of Commerce, I want to welcome each of you to today's webinar to discuss the very important issue of e-commerce. As a business-focused organization, the Chamber is here to help businesses of all sizes, and especially during times like this where there's a need to navigate new regulations very quickly, meet new contacts that help them grow their businesses and improve supply chains, as well as support them with education and special programs. And as a chamber, we recognize the extraordinary value of supporting our local businesses. Many businesses during this time are facing challenges that are unprecedented due to COVID-19, which are impacting revenues for products and services. And we believe an increased move to e-commerce from traditional storefronts will help strengthen the overall economy in a number of ways, while also contributing to the overall health of our community. Businesses need to prepare to serve customers in ways that will increase profitability, raise confidence, and help them rebound. According to statistics that were recently published by BDC, 97% of consumers decide to buy local to support their own local economy. And further, 87% of consumers think it's better for the environment, and 45% of consumers made an effort to buy Canadian-made products in the past year. And this trend is poised to grow even further during our current economic climate. Locally owned businesses can directly recirculate up to 1/3 of revenue in the community, making it a vital piece to rebuilding our economy. So it's estimated that for every $100 spent at local businesses, about $45 of that is secondary spending that's returned to the community compared to other larger box chain stores. So, and this demonstrates the great need for everyone to support local, and for our organization in particular to support our businesses at this point in time. So over the next few months, the Truro Colchester Chamber of Commerce will be working on an e-commerce project that is to directly support business in getting into the e-commerce realm. The goal of this project is to support small business in Truro Colchester in establishing online sales and to offer products and services online, while assisting other businesses currently operating with a minimal online capacity to expand and grow their e-commerce presence. So along with one-on-one support for business, the e-commerce program will include a variety of educational workshops, peer networking opportunities, and promotion and marketing of businesses with e-commerce presence in the local community, which also leads to promoting shopping local. So for more information on some of that, I know I've thrown out a lot right now on this program, but we have some details on our website, and as we finalize some of the parts of the program that will be offering help, it will be available on our website, and also links from our social media page will go there. So certainly if you go to our website, there's an e-commerce survey there that will help guide us to help meeting your business needs as part of that program. So we're working with a team of experienced e-commerce and digital marketers to support the business community in navigating, getting them onto online sales platforms. And I'd be happy to share more information about that if you want to reach out to me after this. So today, getting to the topic of the hour, we're bringing together 3 local business operators who will inspire us by sharing their stories of how they have set up pathways for online sales. So today joining us, we have Julie Taylor of Skin Decision, Margaret Els Congdon of the Truro Farmers Market, and Jenna Jameson of Jameson's General Store. And we'll start by asking each of our panelists to further introduce themselves and speak a little bit about their business before we move into the questions. So let's start with Margaret. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. The Truro Farmers Market has been here operating for 41 years. And I have this is my 5th season with the market. Our whole reason for being is to connect local producers, farmers, craftspeople, and artisans with customers. So that's really what our focus is. In a normal season, I work with over 100 vendors. This year, it's a lower number. We're probably representing about 60 different vendors and things throughout this season. And I know we're going to talk more about the reasons and how we went into our online stuff later on. So I'll leave that.
Great. All right. And let's hear from Julie next. Oh, Julie, you're muted there.
Sorry about that, the classic mute. I own Skin Decision, so we have a location in Truro for the last almost 15 years and a location in Halifax for almost 3 years. And about 7 years ago, we changed our focus from piercing and tattooing, which we do still do, but we started carrying high-end body jewelry, gold and diamonds and other gemstones. And so that became about 75% of what we do, which turned out to be a good thing when it came to online sales. You can't really sell a piercing or a tattoo online. Yeah, so that's a bit about us.
Great. And Jenna, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I started a locally sourced general store, was always the plan. And then COVID hit and all the farmers markets shut down. And I felt terrible for all the vendors. So that launched me into what kind of put us on the map. People got to know who we were, was a locally sourced delivery service that started from Oxford to Pictou. We did it 3 days a week, and it was just a means to be able to help out the farmers and local producers that had lost their source of distribution. So we actually ended up opening 2 months ahead of schedule. We weren't supposed to open until May as a physical store. And instead, we operated out of the Wentworth Rec Center and did, at the peak, 160 deliveries a week with our website that I launched in 3 days before we started taking our first set of deliveries. And now we have a physical store that officially opened. I guess we started opening in June, but our grand opening was just a couple of weeks ago.
Great. So you touched a little bit there, Jenna, on one of the questions we have is what pushed you into doing online sales. So you said you built your website in 3 days or had it built. Did you have the skill set to do that, or how did you get that going? And maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on how the push for online sales happened.
So the online sales happened. I had a website that I sell clothing that I had started in January for North Shore Proud Clothing, which was always part of our store model. So I kind of hijacked that website and changed it to add all of the food items that we were going to have from the local suppliers. So what pushed me into that was COVID. We opened early. There was a demand. People didn't want to go out. I thought I'd get 35, 50 orders. We launched our open for orders in under 36 hours. We got 96 orders. So it was definitely way more than I bargained for. So that's one thing I would definitely ease a little bit of caution is know your market, because we didn't plan for this. Nobody planned for COVID, obviously. So that's what pushed me into online sales for the general store. That was never part of the plan. It was always going to be a brick and mortar. The clothing was online. We were going to have a web presence, but it was really COVID and the demand that escalated for deliveries to your door.
Excellent. So Julie, maybe you can touch on, when you started selling online and what changes you've made recently.
Sure. We started selling online a few years ago. And then we would sell maybe a couple of pieces of jewelry in a month. And then probably a year or so ago, it started to be a couple of pieces in a week. And that was sort of fine with us because it was just sort of an auxiliary thing that we didn't really put a lot of time or energy into. And then it really served as a good way for our clients to see what we had to offer before they came into the actual studios. So it was helpful, but it wasn't really a money maker or anything. So then as soon as COVID hit, then we worked to sort of remake the web store because it wasn't the greatest. And the POS system that we worked with, Square, had a different platform that was on offer that we could rebuild in. So that was the first thing that we did, is sort of rebuild in that. And I think, like, I had a lot of colleagues try to build web stores and sort of get frustrated and give up. And I think probably one of the most important things is that you could start doing anytime is just to have a really good photo of everything that you're selling and like a really good product description, because that's a mountain to climb if you have to start with taking photos and describing your products. So whether it's on a spreadsheet or it's in a scribbler or you have a POS system, like sometimes you get lazy, and as long as it makes sense to you, then that's good enough. But if you can sort of train yourself to make those descriptions so they make sense to someone else, you know, I don't know what the Chamber's going to offer for helping people get online, but certainly no one else is going to be able to describe your products the way that you're going to be able to. So I think that having that ready to go is sort of important. And we did realize, like, oh, like all of these things are entered, but there's no sizes or there's no manufacturer. And so we had to really work to clean that up to make it work for people.
Okay. And you had mentioned POS, and for those that aren't familiar with that, I believe that's point of sale.
Yes,
Okay.
not the other thing POS might stand for.
Okay, Margaret.
They are the same thing.
Margaret, tell us what pushed you to launch online sales?
Well, COVID definitely was the push. We had been exploring doing an online system. The Woofle Farmers Market has had one for several years. So we had researched a similar system for the Truro Farmers Market, intending for it to be a midweek opportunity for our vendors to have a second selling day for their products. COVID certainly, because we weren't going to be able to follow the normal farmers market model of having our people here and customers coming in, certainly pushed us to do that more quickly. We worked very hard to make sure that we did not miss a single Saturday. And we had the first one in mid-March was quite small. We only had about 8 to 10 vendors. But following that, we started getting vendors on just doing orders by posting everything on Facebook and what was available from our products. And that's the challenge when you're dealing with a number of different vendors, is to get all those products out there instead of just your own. But we took all the orders either by phone or email, created our own pick lists for the vendors and invoices for the customers, and it was hugely time consuming. But at the same time, we were working on transitioning to software. Farmers Markets in Nova Scotia was supported really well by the Department of Agriculture. They made funds available for a number of our markets to get the software and to get online as quickly as they could. So we use a local food marketplace, which is specifically designed for farm markets, and not just farmers markets, but farmers themselves who might want to sell their product on site, or if they have their own markets. But it works extremely well for farmers markets too. So once we got that going, the end of April, it made life much easier to be able to do the actual work through that, and it tracks everything. And as Julie was saying about products, when you're representing 50 or so vendors and their products, one thing that has been really important is consistency in how those products are presented on the storefront. So we like we have categories and we like people to put things on in a certain way. So if they're going to be selling zucchini, which is prolific this time of year, it's going to go under summer squash, zucchini, yellow or green, so that when customers go on the storefront, all the products look very similar and because the software does things alphabetically, then we want it to look that way too. So quite a little pivot again. We are now back to both online orders, which we are now distributing on Wednesdays, because the market itself is open for in-person shopping again on Saturdays. But we'll never give up the online. It's a fabulous way to reach people, and they're very impressed with the convenience. We have done mostly pickup. We do some deliveries, especially for people who couldn't get out or were self-isolating for a time over the COVID period, but we don't have a large delivery component to ours. Most of it is pickup, but you can have contactless pickup, the same as at grocery stores and things, where they just call when they arrive here and we deliver the things to them. So
Nice.
yeah, those are the big ones.
Some of the things that, you know, even just with the first introductory questions, like we're hearing that it's really important to make sure that you're presenting your products online in an organized, detailed way with good images of what those products are. And I'd like to delve maybe a little bit more into delivery models. Certainly it's one thing to be able to offer a product online and sell it, but then how do you get that product to the customer? So in your case, Margaret, you're doing a pickup type scenario where they order it and the customer comes to pick it up in a designated way. And you had been doing delivery and that stopped? Are you doing any shipping?
We don't do any shipping. We started doing all our order distribution on Saturday, and it would take us the entire day because we were dealing with up to, I think the highest number we had for a day was about 380 orders that we had to pack and distribute, which just the amount of space that you need to put out pick sheets for 380 orders meant that we had to do things we hadn't expected, like buy a whole lot more tables. We thought we had lots of tables here at the farmers market. Turned out we didn't. And we offered delivery. We didn't push it a great deal, but we had two methods. People could come in, only 2 people at a time, social distancing, lots of sanitization methods, and we had a lot of people who did that, but then we also numbered our parking spaces under the canopy, and people then and now come and park in a numbered space, call the market, and we get their order and take it out to their vehicles so that they don't have to come in. We do still do deliveries. We have throughout this whole thing, but we just haven't promoted it as a huge part of what we want to do, mainly because we have a delivery driver who's also a vendor, and so he has limited time here. There were some other options provided by the town and other people that could help with that delivery for some of our customers. But for instance, the Wolfville Farmers Market does delivery to outside communities, and we don't offer that because it's not as cost effective for our model. So we do still do, we have a number of people who get regular deliveries, but most of our customers come here and pick up.
Okay, so that's one model. Julie, what type of delivery models, shipping service are you operating with?
Pretty much exclusively, we're shipping through Canada Post. You can set up a business account with them, which does save a little bit on shipping. During COVID, we were doing free shipping in Canada. And so it cost me on average about $10 to ship something. But because my items are more costly than I could afford that. And so if people ordered anything under $60, I was just shipping it in a regular envelope with a stamp on it. I'd wrap it in bubble wrap inside the regular envelope, put a stamp on it, and ship it. As long as it fits through their little slot, you can do that. So I did have one item go missing, and so I had to resend it to the person. But the cost of that was mitigated by not, only paying 49 cents to ship all those things instead of paying $12. So that works out really well. And then anything over $60, I was paying the cost of between $10 and $15 in Canada to ship my little envelopes anywhere. They're like about the size of a sheet of regular paper. And so those ship for about $9 plus tax to some places in Canada. And so now that we're open, people are also buying things online, and they can come and pick it up at the store, but they have to have an appointment for that. And so it's not super popular.
Right. Okay,
People are still getting it mostly shipped to their home. And honestly, now that we've reopened, the online store is actually even a little busier than it was. So it's really good.
That's excellent news to hear. And Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about your distribution shipping model?
Yeah, so we physically deliver everything to our customers. I should start off by telling everyone I use Shopify for my e-commerce platform. So there is a packing slip. It takes addresses, phone numbers, email address. So it is very like cookie cutter friendly. Like I set up myself. I'm not super tech savvy, not an IT person. I don't know how to code anything. But to reiterate what the lady said, it's super important, your descriptions. So I started off when I did this with like 25 products. I put in my descriptions, you're not going to go back. If you don't do it right the first time and you think, oh, I'll just update it later, you're really going to procrastinate. It's going to fall really far to the bottom of your list. So don't do that. Make sure it's done properly the right way. Eventually, I wanted to reformat it similar to like what Margaret was saying, as she had categories. I didn't have any categories. Everything was just listed on one page. So the more products I had, the more pages people had to scroll through to get through all of the product. So I looked at a company to redo my whole website, and it was going to cost in the thousands of dollars. And I was like, well, that's not good. So that's not where I want to spend my money. So I ended up saying, well, if you were to recategorize everything. So I had a local company, Forward Creative, who did everything online. They put everything into categories for me, $350. Money well spent. I don't have the time to do it. I kept saying I would do it, but you know what? 6 weeks passed and I never got it done. And the products kept growing. So we have over 160 now. So you want to make sure when you start properly. But with the delivery service, we physically do it ourselves because we're crazy people. It's a lot. You've got to take into account a lot of backcountry roads. There's a lot of dirt roads. I got stuck more times than I can count. I've had 3 tow trucks, 2 raccoons take out my coolant. So things that you have to be prepared if you're going to physically do the deliveries yourselves, how long it's going to take you. I use an app called Road Warriors, which will literally, I just type in all the addresses and I hit optimize and it tells me where to go. It says where to start, where to end. So that's how we do ours. It works for us. It took a while to get the kind of hang of things, but we know our delivery routes. We have our regular customers. We still have a lot of people that are coming for isolation that we're doing deliveries for. So if it is isolation, I might drop everything and just say, hey, I know delivery day is Wednesday, but if I have it in stock, I'll bring it to you today. So we're kind of flexible because we're so small that we can do those things. But I have 2 delivery drivers. Before it was myself and one other person who did the packing, the shipping, the delivering, all of it. And now there's 2 of us that pack and there's 2 that deliver. And then my delivery drivers now go do my pickups at the various suppliers because I have 30 plus suppliers that I pick up from on a fairly regular basis. So there's a lot of logistics involved.
Have you had any pushback from customers? I know you charge a small fee for that delivery to their door. Has anyone given any pushback on the fact that the business is charging a fee to deliver?
Not at all. I think they understand that we physically deliver from Oxford to Pictou, and that a lot of our customers, they're just happy to have the service. So No, I even upped it. I think originally it was $6 and then I upped it to $6.50. And I think I had 1 or 2 people question just because they're like, oh, did it change? But nobody really cared that it changed. I did for a while, for a couple of weeks, free shipping over $100 because I think my average sale was $40 or $50. But then the more products I added, the higher my average sale was. And then it got to a point where I had more orders over 100 than I had under less. And so, you know, to counteract the shipping, I had to remove that. No one really said boo. The occasional person questioned it, but nobody, if you're spending $100, $6.50, we're so rural that you can't drive to the local store for $6.50 return. So even with gas prices, you know, we started when gas was 70 cents or 68 cents or whatever it was. So that definitely helped us out a lot. But yeah, no one's really said too much. And the ones that do, honestly, you're better off focusing on the ones that don't have a problem paying for it because they're going to be your better customers in the long run, and they're going to be less of a headache, and you know, it just works. So the ones that see value in the service will pay for it.
That's great. It's interesting about the app that you mentioned, the Road Warriors app. I've never heard of that. I think that would be a great tool for anyone that is doing some deliveries of their own. Just as a note, through the chamber, with the chamber membership, there is access to a program called Flagship that offers discounts of up to 40% off shipping, and it does comparatives automatically for you. So with the push of a button, you can find the cheapest rate to ship a package to the destination that you need it to go to, and then as a member you would get a discount on that. So just something to think about. If there's any interest, reach out to us here at the office and we can share more about that. So you've mentioned a little bit in particular, I'm going to direct this at you, Julie, that you know, there's sales in person and there's sales online. So how have you balanced an inventory control on selling in person and online? How do you know when someone's buying something online that you still have it in stock if they're also buying it in person?
Well, luckily, the system that we use does track that. So it's tracking whether we have it in online or we have it in the store. When it's sold, it gets removed. So that is making it a lot easier. Before we had that, it was actually a bit of a nightmare. And someone had to go in every day and try to update. And it was actually quite of a mess. So I think it's probably important that everything draws from the same system.
Great tip. And what about you, Margaret? How has balancing inventory control been with the deliveries as well as the in-person?
Because we actually represent so many different producers, they're really responsible for monitoring their own inventory. And the way our software works, each of the producers can log in. They can add products or take products away. So as new vegetables have come online, they add them in, and they can put how many units of each one they have available. So if they have, you know, 30 bags of spinach available one week and 45 the next week, they just know on the day between our ordering periods that they update that. And the system counts down as customers order, and the producers get notifications if they sell out. They can then go look at their spinach patch and say, oh, I've got extra there, I can add another 20 bags. Or they can say, no more, that's going to have to be it for now, and we'll have more next week. So the inventory is really their responsibility, but the software is very, very helpful, and it will count down. For instance, right now I have a fabulous goat's milk soap vendor who's off on maternity leave. She left us with a lot of her product, and we put on the initial inventory, and the system will deduct what's sold every week until it runs out. So I don't have to worry much about inventory control. It's all tracked. I can run reports on what's sold either by period or by product item or by producer or whatever that I need to do. So because we work with so many different producers, this is really good software for us. I mean, you can use Square and it'll do inventory control. If you're the only person that's putting inventory on there, it's much easier than if you're doing all these different people. So
Excellent. That's good to know too.
yeah, it's a little specific to this type of thing. And during COVID, we also opened up our online store to other local small businesses who might not have the capacity to be able to get online themselves. So there were places like Great British Grub who said, yeah, we'd love to be able to sell some of our meat pies through your storefront too, as well as what we do out of our own facility. So we were happy to be able to add as many of those people who contacted us and give them a spot on the storefront too.
Excellent. I think during this time, everybody needs that little extra helping hand if they're not
Yeah.
not in a position at that point to do it themselves. So Jenna, how about you in managing your inventory online versus in person?
So in person's way easier because it's like you just buy what we have. Online, where I would literally order every week. I would accept the orders. I would reset my totals every week to 0, and I would just let them go to negative. So when orders closed on at the end of the week, I would take a look and see what everybody ordered, and then I would physically just place orders with suppliers. And now the way that we have it structured with the store is the store is open now Thursday to Sunday, and I do orders close Sunday night for online delivery. And I order Mondays. We pick up product on Tuesday. We prep for orders. We weigh beans, potatoes, whatever we have to do to prep for the week. And then we ship everything or deliver everything on Wednesdays. We pack and deliver. So it is separate. Occasionally I'll run into something like my chip supplier who only delivers every 2 weeks. Sometimes you may see me out scrambling, trying to find someone else who sells the same local product and just buying one bag of popcorn to fulfill the order. But for the most part, we don't have too many problems with that. Just, it's the whole reason why the store can't be open while we're packing deliveries, because it would just be too hard to manage. Oh, you can't have that. I ordered that for a customer. I need 9 loaves of bread for customers and I need 12 for the store. So in order for, just make it simple. Keep it simple and keep it separate. I know sometimes we get a little bit of pushback being like, hey, why are you guys only open, especially in the beginning when we're only open like Saturdays and Fridays? Why are you only open so little? But once you start kind of explaining, hey, we do this delivery service and it's the only way we can keep, we literally rip the store apart and take down all of our displays and use them as packing centers. And then we put it all back. The farmer's market would know exactly what that looks like. So we have a pretty tight turnaround in a very small space. We have about 400 square feet storefront. So we're not working with a huge amount of space, and I have like 190 square foot back room for extra inventory. So we just keep them separate, and that's the only way we can do it is we pack for the orders at the beginning of the week and we open when we're done.
So I think some of what you've shared really speaks to the importance of having a schedule and staying on top of monitoring your online sales so that you can keep that balance in check. So we're going to go back to Julie, and I'm going to ask this question. So how have you marketed your online business? Because it's one thing to offer the service, it's another to make sure people know about it and are, you know, waiting there as customers. So what are you doing to market it?
So luckily for me, at the same sort of time that we closed down, one of the courses that they were offering through CBBC Noble was on online marketing. So I signed up for that, and Debbie Lawrence was the teacher. If anyone took any courses from Debbie Lawrence, she's a genius, and she has helped me with keep my business alive many times. And so that helped a lot. Like it was really a lot about social media marketing. And so we definitely used our social media. We already had a lot of people there. So we were making sure we were making lots of posts, letting people know that we were there. And we already had a lot of people on our social media. And I really sort of thought that we were doing good there. But Debbie sort of had a whole plan for us for how we were going to make our posts, which was a lot different than how we had been doing it. And it really had made a lot more interactions happen on our social media, which also led to a lot more sales, which was really good. The other thing that I did was send a newsletter to all of our current customers, sort of sent a newsletter to everyone that had been our customer for the last 2 years. And then anybody who opted in, I just kept sending a newsletter to, like, every couple of weeks, so that they were reminded that we were here, and sending them coupons and, like, letting them know, like, not just being like, hey, I'm having a sale on this item, but letting them know, like, hey, I'm struggling to find a new supplier because everybody in California is closed right now, and this is what's happening. And just sort of letting people understand what was going on with us, I think sort of helped people stay connected. And I did get quite a few messages back from people that just said, you know, thank you for still being here. Thank you for sending me a message. I'm freaking lonely. Like, people, like, kind of enjoyed that connection, I think. So I sort of decided to focus on people that were already our customers. I was super tempted to be like, there's a million people in the world that may want to buy my products. I should go find them all, but I don't know how to do that. I know how to find these people that already exist, that already follow me on Instagram, that already came to my studio before, and I really just focused on that. And I ended up getting a grant from the province for $1,500. I forget what they're calling it, but it's what you're able to use that to pay a service to enhance your business. Open, Safe, Resilient, I think, was one of the names for it. Anyway, so now I have somebody else working on the back end of my website and web store to try to make it more easily found by random people that might be searching for my products. But every week I would make myself read articles about how to do that, search engine optimization. I would get very confused and frustrated, and then I would just back away because I don't know anything about that or understand anything about that. So I think that may indeed be a job for the professionals.
Well, and it's certainly, you know, as the person running the business and trying to stay on top of everything, finding time to do all of the tasks is a challenge. So when you can find some external help, there's certainly a benefit there, but often it does come with a bit of a cost. So I'm glad that you were able to tap into that program. And you also spoke to the importance of communicating with your customers and being that contact. Even when you don't have all the information, it's nice just to be able to, you know, send that note out to let them know that you care and that you're there for them when they're ready. What platform were you using for that? Is that MailChimp, Constant Contact? How do you send your newsletter?
I did use MailChimp.
And is there a
even
cost
when
for
we
that?
were first, I think if you're under a certain amount of people, it's free.
And you were saying in the beginning
In the beginning, when the web store wasn't everything that I wanted it to be, or there were problems with it, I could put that in the newsletter too and be like, I know this isn't great. Trust me, I'm working on it. And, you know, people were really encouraging and supportive, which was really, really nice.
Great. And Jenna, we'll go back to you. How have you been marketing your online business? What creative things are you doing?
Social media is a big part of it, for sure. I find that people are more engaged if there is a story attached to it. People care way more about snakes and bears being at my front doorstep when I get up in the morning than they are the fact that I have, 40 pounds of local cherries in. I'll get like 200 likes and 50 comments because I've got a snake on my front doorstep. So it's something that they can just relate with you. I have people come into the store and they're like, hey, how are the snakes? And I'm like, great, you didn't see our post about cherries, but that's okay. So just anything you can do to keep them engaged. I have a blog. I haven't been super great about it lately, but about every 4 to 6 weeks, I'll put out a blog post so people could really get to know my story, why I started the business, what it looks like on the back end. So to give them the taste, because they don't know what it looks like when you're packing, a bunch of orders and what our day looks like and driving around to suppliers and the challenges that we might have. And the more informed your customers are, the more they feel like they know you. And when they know you, they want to buy and support you. So we do an email list. I'm not really good at that. I would say Facebook is our biggest thing. I did win a small advertising grant through the Picto Advocate through the Shine On Awards. So I did use that for my grand opening. One of the other things that I did, I made a VIP event. So if you make it exclusive and only so many people can come, orders were down, the store was open. So I said, everybody that orders this week gets an invitation to our VIP event before our grand opening, be one of the first. And I was shocked because these consistent people that have been my customers that would have never come in the store because they live in Pictou or they live in Oxford, I think I had like 35%. So you have to understand, they got orders on a Wednesday. They got an email on Monday saying, here's the event, this is when it's going to be. They got a physical invitation, a handwritten invitation in their order on Wednesday. And I would say about 35 to 40% of the people that received deliveries that week showed up. And they came and they bought stuff, which boggled my brain because they just got a grocery delivery the day before. So you don't really know until you try what it's going to do for you, but get creative, just get out there. The worst that's going to happen is it's not going to work and you're going to try something else.
So that personal touch, personal contact, a handwritten note, those meaningful gestures, while sales are being made online, the follow-up pieces are equally, if not more, important for those repeat orders. That's great advice, Jenna.
They felt it was really necessary. They said, we've been ordering from you all winter. We wanted to come and support you. We wanted to come see the store. So, people want to know you. They want to know your story.
And Margaret, what about you? What are the ways that you're marketing what you're doing online?
Many of the same ways. I agree. People really want to see the stories. And it was interesting when we started doing this before we had the software, how many customers would call and say, I want to order the carrots from the guy that's usually in the corner of the market here. They don't always know the names. They know the faces and they know the products they want. So it became even more important through social media and whatever other ways we had to introduce and remind people of who the producers are and the growers are and what their products are. So when we put up the two little girls that are helping to pack the online orders from Duix Produce, people love that because it's making that connection, and that's what farmers markets are all about, is connecting customers to producers. It can be interesting, like Jenna says, what you get the most uptake on. We had, one of the things we didn't expect was that we would get confused with the Truro, Massachusetts farmers market. And occasionally we get orders from people in Massachusetts, and most of the time we catch it. But there was one who, she caught it before we did, and she said, oh, just get it and give the order to some people who can use the food. And we posted about that because it was a really generous thing to do. And so many people noticed that. So social media, because the demographic for farmers market is really, really mixed, we also do radio and newspaper. We're on farmers market in Nova Scotia sites, the chamber, the town, the Fun Day Guide, any of those things that you are showing up in. It's really important to make sure that your information is current, because so many people have changed, and we've changed our information several times during the whole COVID evolution back to now where we're open again in person but continue the online on a different day. So really important to keep all the information current so that when people Google you, they're going to get the most up-to-date information. It's really frustrating for customers to say, oh yeah, I really want to go there. It says you're open online, and then I get there and you're not open, or I can't order what I was hoping to be able to order through this. So yeah, just keep it current.
Okay, so we'll go back and start with Jenna. What is the best piece of advice you could give someone who's starting an e-commerce business?
Keep an open mind. Don't be afraid to try new things, but definitely do your research. We now use Sona. I know Alan mentioned it. We have the Clover device in our physical store. In a perfect world, if it wasn't COVID and I had the chance to research everything, I would have started with one system, because now I have Shopify online and now I'm managing a separate POS system. I'm eventually going to make the switch, but it's very time consuming and I don't really want to pay somebody else $3,000 to do it. So it's going to be a work in progress. So right now I pay for 2 platforms, which, you know, ideally if you could go back in a perfect world, it's not the way I would have done it. But just little things like that. Do your research, keep an open mind, and stay on top of you got to stay on top of your inventory. And you have to, your descriptions are huge. And the way that it's laid out, like, is your website shoppable? That was my thing when we went to go back and redo the different categories, opposed to just the pages and pages of product that didn't make any sense. The more products we added, things on the 4th page, the older products were getting lost. You weren't capturing the sales. So, you know, having a meat, cheese, dairy, produce section that people can just click on, or an all grocery item, those would be the key things that I would say take away. Your initial, how shoppable is your website? Are you making it easier for customers to use?
Okay, Julie, what would you say is the best piece of advice you could give someone considering setting up e-commerce?
I mean, I think maybe get out of your own way, because it's very intimidating to try to do something you've never done before. Presumably you know, haven't made a lot of web stores or any web stores before, so this is all new. And I think we all started with a format that we're not using now. So I think at least I like to know exactly what I'm doing before I start doing it, and that is not the case. So I think maybe just start putting a few products up, or, you know, just let yourself make mistakes, because, you know, that's how we learn. That's how we grow, apparently.
Certainly don't want a fear of failure in any way. It's not a fail, it's a learning experience. So if you're if you're ready to take the plunge, you just go in and get started and find help. And hopefully our chamber will be able to assist businesses in finding some of the correct path for them, and then helping them expand a little bit. So Margaret, what would you say would be the best piece of information you could give someone who's considering doing e-commerce?
I think it's similar to what the other two have said, but really consider what your specific needs are and what platform is going to best meet those needs. If you need inventory control, make sure you get that. But if you don't, and you can just run with the Square Store will do that, or Shopify, or whether you need a more specific software that will cover all your needs, just take the time to look at that. Go online, look at similar businesses in other communities, see what they're using, check out their storefronts. The storefront is really important, and that's one of the things we like about local food marketplace software is the storefront is easily manageable, but also customers can pick and choose either categories or specific producers and just see those products. It's easy. Ours is fill a cart and confirm your order kind of software. So if that's what you need, it's out there. Check it out. But I think that's the big thing is don't pay for more than you need, but allow yourself a platform that's going to meet everything that you do need it to do for you. Otherwise, you'll just be using your time, and you can use your time for better things.
A lot of things, yes. There's so many things in running a business. It's not just watching what's happening in the virtual world. So we do have a question from Erica, and she asks, how do you choose which social medium to use for online marketing? Is there any thoughts on which you may have used and what worked good for you?
I know in the online class that we took, it was suggested to literally ask your clients, like, where are you? Where are you spending most of your time? Like, And you can send a survey out to them and ask them, like, how much of your time do you spend on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, other formats that you maybe don't use at all, and find out where they are, because you can guess, but you won't really know unless you ask them.
And the beauty of all the social media platforms is the analytics are so easy to look at, and you can target different geographic areas or different age groups or whatever you need to do. So social media is so flexible and it's so measurable. So it's hard to tell with some other things whether you're reaching people. You can kind of guess on things like radio and other platforms, but social media, the analytics are right there. You can find out everything you need to know about whether you're reaching people, and then make the decisions for the best time of day, the best day of the week to post, and all those things.
So there's certainly a free platform with SurveyMonkey that you can set up a survey with 10 questions or less and send that link out through your social media channels to see who responds, and you'll be able to track some results that way as well. So I guess as we start to wind down, I want to say thank you so much for our speakers for sharing their personal experiences. And I'll just go through and get some of their last thoughts. Margaret, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on about e-commerce and share with our group today?
The one thing that I don't think we really mentioned was different methods of payment. And I think it's really important to look at your payment methods and compare. So some farmers markets are just taking credit card payments. So shop around. Farmers markets in Nova Scotia actually negotiated a really good deal for all of our participating markets with low credit card fees. But because we have a very broad dynamic, we also have people that want to pay by e-transfer or even cash when they pick up their orders. It was our choice that we didn't want to limit any of our customers by just accepting credit cards. So we take everything, cash and e-transfer and credit cards. So think about how you actually want your customers to be able to pay you, and make sure you negotiate some good fees on those.
Excellent point, for sure, because you want to try and retain as much in your pocket as well as provide the best service as possible. Julie, what about you? Any final thoughts as we close, some things that you feel we should know about your experience with e-commerce or advice in general?
I guess maybe just in general that it's really easy right now to focus on all the negative, but just try to focus on your positive clients. If you have, like Jenna said, a couple of people that made complaints, but they're probably not her good clients anyway, like let those people go. The people that are not going to be able to work with your format or aren't going to wear a mask or whatever they are, let them go and focus on your positive people. It's so easy to let those negative comments resonate in your head, and your 5-star reviews, you just let them forget about them. But I think you need to focus on all the people that are really appreciative of the work that you're doing to try to get those products to them in a really weird time.
Those are excellent points to make. And I know there overall, despite some of the challenges, there is a sense of optimism, certainly in our business community right now. And we've seen so much collaboration, and really good things have come out of, people being forced to make decisions maybe they weren't ready to make, but overall we're seeing a lot of unity and growth, and it's been positive, along with some of the other challenges are certainly very still present. And what about you, Jenna? What closing remarks would you like to make on e-commerce and what it's meant to your business?
Well, it completely shaped my business. Originally, don't be afraid to think outside of the box. Originally, I was, nope, I'm 100%, I'm going to be a brick and mortar store. That's all there is to it. And my original target market was Pugwash to Tony River. And now my target market is Pictou to Oxford. And I reach so many more customers that would never come to the store than I would before. So don't let those things limit you. Don't be afraid to incorporate your values in what you're doing. Like, we have random acts of kindness boxes when we have leftover product we don't want to go to waste. We take names from people in the community, and we give out produce boxes, grocery boxes to people. Customers want to donate to that. So we were doing it anyway, and then customers wanted to donate to that. So just listen to what your customers want and be ready to adapt. And what Margaret said about the fees, definitely be careful. I ran into some issues with PayPal. It was great for like 3 or 4 months. And then it got to a point where they started holding my money for 21 days. And as a small business owner, to have your funds put on hold for 21 days, it's crucial. Like that's, I don't know about a lot of you, but to lose payments for 3 weeks and not have access to those funds, a bit of a deal breaker for me, which is why we've lost ties with our PayPal. I have a customer that really wants it back because of, I think she's an American customer and she doesn't want to use her American card. So we are trying to look at ways to include that. We have Visa debit, credit that's accepted. I stay away from e-transfer only because there's no way for someone to submit an order on my platform and have it like pending. And it's too hard to track what their order should add up to. Because I did try to take a few orders with some elderly people over the phone. It literally takes me 15 minutes to put in all the data, and for me to sit there and field calls for 15 minutes per call per day to add it all in, it's quite time consuming. So it is a lot easier just to be able to go in at the end of the week and print my orders. So just listen to your customers, what they want, be flexible. Like just because I don't take online e-transfer doesn't mean I haven't done it on occasion. You know, have some guidelines, but be flexible. Just give your people what you want. It's just easier than fighting with them at the end of the day, honestly.
No, nobody wants to fight for sure. We go back to Julie's positivity. We want to stay in that realm. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Just a reminder that the Chamber is here to help. We are working on an e-commerce program that you can be a part of building with us. Reach out to us. Let us know what your needs are, how we can help with workshops, programming, how we can help you discover what your needs are, and how we can find the help that you need to move you to the next level. It's a huge part of what we're doing here, and we want to hear from you. There's more information about the e-commerce project on our website. There's a little survey there as a needs assessment so that we can make that initial contact and find out where you are and who we need to help you connect with to move you forward. The Chamber is currently participating in a national campaign called Canada United. And as part of that, we're launching a hashtag Local United scavenger hunt. There's more than 30 businesses currently participating. And basically each one will have a sign with a QR code that customers would come and scan at Find a Clue and then email us 4 clues for 1 entry, and they can enter as many times as they'd like. If anyone is interested in being a part of that and supporting shopping local and promoting our united local business community, we would love to hear from you. So please do reach out to us. And again, I just want to let you know that the Chamber is here for you. We are working very hard to support business. The needs right now are very great, and we want to make sure that if we can help take a little bit of stress off a business owner looking for information or needing some extra support or learning a new skill to help them, we want to work with you where you are to try and get you what you need so that you can grow and thrive and continue to be a part of the community here. So in closing, I just want to wish everybody a wonderful afternoon, and feel free to reach out to us here at the Chamber office at any time. Thank you so much, Margaret, Julie, and Jenna, for sharing your stories.